So Oleksandr Usyk outboxes Tyson Fury over 12 rounds to become the undisputed world heavyweight champion. The first in 25 years and the first ever in the full belt era. With this win, he proved himself to be the #1 heavyweight in the world and finally established a new lineage for the world heavyweight title after the line was broken following Lennox Lewis's retirement. I'll talk more about that in a separate video. Let's first analyze the Fury fight. Now, there was an hour or so of confusion after the weigh-in where Usyk's weight was announced at 233 pounds, which I found very alarming. I thought that's way too heavy for him, and I made a video updating my prediction accordingly. But you guys then informed me that Usyk's weight was announced wrong and that he was not 233 pounds at all. He was actually just 223 pounds, which is a perfect weight for him. And so I took that update down and reverted back to my original prediction before the fight. And in that prediction, of course, I picked Usyk to win on points. Now, several things played out exactly as I said they would in my prediction video and also in my keys to victory videos. But there were also some things which did not play out as I expected and caught me by surprise a little bit. I expected Tyson Fury to start the fight boxing off the back foot, which he did. I expected him to do a lot of showboating to try and bamboozle the audience into thinking he was winning rounds that he actually wasn't winning. And he did that as well, very successfully. He had people believing that he actually won at least 2 of the first 3 rounds, which is incredible since Oleksandr Usyk landed far more clean, effective punches than he did in those rounds, both to head and body. In fact, I'm making a video, which I'll upload to my Patreon page either tonight or tomorrow, where I show slow motion footage of every single punch that was landed, blocked, or missed in the first 3 rounds. And also in the 7th round, because that's another one which people seem to think Tyson Fury won for some strange reason. He clearly didn't. All you need to do is watch the fight back on a big screen with the sound turned off. It helps if it's in slow motion as well, and you can see exactly who's landing what. Or as I say, you can watch the video that I'm about to upload on my Patreon page. Just sign up for the boxing tier. It's called the Boxing Brotherhood. I'll give you more details about that at the end. But anyway, when you watch that video, you'll very quickly see that in the first 3 rounds, most of Tyson Fury's punches were actually being blocked by Usyk's gloves, or they were missing completely. Whereas most of Usyk's punches were actually landing cleanly to the head and to the body. And this is backed up by the CompuBox stats, by the way, where Usyk was landing at a much higher percentage than Fury throughout the fight. But as I say, Fury is so good at bamboozling the audience with showboating and loads of flicking jabs that literally don't land, that he's got people thinking he's winning rounds that he's blatantly losing. It's an incredible thing. And so showboating was a key part of his strategy in this fight, as it has been for several fights in the past, but even more so here because he knew he'd really need it against an opponent of this caliber. So he was spamming the showboating. But the reality is, it was actually Usyk who swept the first 3 rounds. Fury landed 1 or 2 clean jabs and a right hand to the body in the first round, whereas Usyk landed multiple clean body shots, a right hand to the head, and a big left hand to Fury's head towards the end of the round. Fury, of course, did a load of showboating for the rest of the round to try and distract people from it. And by the way, that big left hand that Usyk landed at the end of the first round damaged Fury's nose somehow. He was dabbing at it throughout the fight from that point on. Usyk started the second round fast, connected with a big right-left combination to Fury's head, which drove him back against the ropes and brought a scream from Steve Bunce on the TNT commentary. Again, Fury was showboating right after it. Usyk continued to target the body, landing constant jabs and left crosses downstairs. He connected with rights and lefts to Fury's head. In one sequence, he pinned Fury in a corner and unleashed a 3-punch combination, a left to the body, followed by a right and a left to Fury's head, all of which made a big cracking sound as they connected. Fury, for his part, did manage to land 2 right hands to Usyk's body and a right hand to the head, which was partially blocked. Other than that, he managed to occasionally pierce Usyk's guard with a jab. It was closer than round 1, but still very much an Usyk round. He certainly landed the higher number of clean, effective punches. Round 3 was even better for Usyk. He started out with a right-left combination to Fury's body. He showed good head movement, making Fury repeatedly miss with the jab. Fury landed a glancing right hand, which he threw from very long range. He reached in with it almost on his tiptoes. It didn't land with any great force, and Usyk was turning in the same direction as the punch, punch, so it was kind of a grazing blow. But again, Fury was showboating as if he just landed the punch of the century. Usyk continued to block and slip most of Fury's jabs while connecting cleanly and often to Fury's body. He landed a clean left hand to Fury's chin about a minute into the round, and an even better one at around the 1 minute 17 mark, which was easily the best punch of the round. A cracking left hand to Fury's head, delivered with good power. Fury landed a couple of right hands on Usyk's belt line in the final minute, both borderline shots. He also landed a partially blocked, kind of grazing right hand with about 30 seconds left. Usyk pinned Fury on the ropes again with about 11 seconds left and unleashed a 4-punch combination, 3 of which were glancing blows, but the final shot landed flush and solid on Fury's head. So 3-0 to Oleksandr Usyk. But Tyson Fury, to his credit, managed to steal the play away from Usyk in rounds 4, 5, and 6. And this surprised me a bit because I thought if Fury's going to steal some rounds, it will probably be early. I thought Usyk would take the middle rounds, but it was actually the opposite. Usyk found his timing and range before Tyson Fury did. But when Fury eventually found his in the 4th, he went to town. He started spamming uppercuts to the head and body. They were landing flush and they were hurting Oleksandr Usyk. Some of them were low, but a lot of them were good, clean shots. Usyk was showing clear signs of distress, and Fury managed to back him up for the first time in the fight. But curiously, he didn't force the issue. I said before the fight that Fury's best bet was to drive Usyk back because that would bring his work rate down and force him to think more about defense than offense. And Fury did that in spots during the middle rounds, but he didn't sustain it. It felt like he'd let Usyk off the hook on a couple of occasions, and you really wonder why. In fact, you wonder why none of these big heavyweights, Joshua Dubois or Tyson Fury, made a sustained effort to push Usyk back, given the size advantage they all have. As I say, it's a very curious thing. Perhaps they sense something about him when they're in there with him, which isn't entirely apparent when you're outside the ropes watching. There's something about Usyk that seems to unnerve these big guys. Maybe it's the balance, the feints, the movement, the timing, the accuracy. I said in several pre-fight videos that Usyk hits harder than advertised, and he probably hits harder at heavyweight than he did at cruiserweight. Even still, he's not a Deontay Wilder level puncher, and Fury had no qualms about pushing him back. But with Oleksandr Usyk, he was reluctant to do so, even when he had him hurt. And that was an opportunity missed for Tyson Fury because in round 7, Usyk started to adjust. He started throwing double and triple feints to throw off the timing of Fury's uppercuts, and this effectively took Fury's uppercut away. He did manage to land one good one on Usyk's chin in the 7th, but Usyk also started to land clean punches to Fury's head again, and he started going back down to the body as well, which he'd neglected to do for the previous 3 rounds. And as I say, the 7th is another round I'm going to show you in slow motion in this Patreon video where I zoom right in and show you exactly who's landing what, because it is a fact that Usyk landed more clean punches in the 7th round than Tyson Fury did, including head punches. This isn't my opinion, folks. This is a fact. I'll show you the evidence in the Patreon video. And the reason I'm making a point of this is because just like the first 3 rounds of the fight, many people scored the 7th round to Tyson Fury when he quite clearly lost it. They were so distracted by what Fury was doing that they totally ignored the clean shots that Oleksandr Usyk was landing. It's really incredible. Anyway, Usyk made the adjustments and he started to wrestle control back in a big way in the 8th round. He was still digging to the body consistently, and he landed several big shots to Fury's head. One left hand in particular saw him catch Fury off guard. He darted into range very quickly and landed it flush on Fury's nose, which then started to bleed heavily. Fury went back to his corner with a look of concern etched on his face. Now, I said in my prediction that I expected Fury to suffer a crisis in this fight somewhere around the 8th. And I said that this crisis would take the form of a knockdown, a cut, or a sense that he was falling behind on the scorecards. Well, I pretty much nailed that part. I was only 1 round off. The crisis happened in the 9th rather than the 8th. Now, Tyson Fury, to his credit, was really trying to dig his heels in the 9th round and hit Usyk as hard as he could to gain his respect again. But Oleksandr Usyk is like a snowball. You have to stop his momentum early because if you allow him to get rolling, by the late rounds, he'll be unstoppable. In the weeks leading up to the fight, Usyk cryptically told Tyson Fury, "Do not be afraid, I won't leave you alone." Fury didn't understand what he meant by that, but in the 9th round of this fight, he found out exactly what he meant. I've said in many videos that Usyk tires you out, not just by exerting you physically, but also by exerting you mentally. He's constantly feinting, constantly moving his head, constantly moving his feet side to side, in and out, and he's punching off all this movement non-stop. So it takes a tremendous amount of concentration to keep up with all the moving parts, to try and anticipate what he's going to do and implement your own offense as well. It's tremendously taxing, especially for these big heavyweights. They're not used to having to fight at that kind of pace. They're used to having big, long lulls in the action where they can rest. But with Usyk, he makes you work extremely hard to try and keep him off. And all the while, he's hitting you to the body, and it eats away at you. The cracks started to appear for Tyson Fury in the 7th, they got bigger in the 8th, and the ice eventually broke in the 9th. Usyk had been chipping away at Fury the whole round, then suddenly, with about 30 seconds left, he landed a huge left hand, and the Gypsy King was plunged into the freezing abyss. He fell hard against the ropes, and Usyk then proceeded to literally punch him from pillar to post, batted him all over the ring, and left him a bloody, confused mess, sagging against the ropes with 10 seconds left. It was by far the most hurt we've ever seen Tyson Fury in a fight. The referee jumped in to administer a count, owing to his belief that had the ropes not been there, Fury would have gone down. Now, this has caused a lot of controversy. Many people believe that he denied Usyk the opportunity to finish Fury off. Now look, it's a judgment call by the ref, and he is allowed to do what he did under the rules. But was it the right call? That's the question. In fact, many referees would have actually stopped the fight, never mind administering a count. I've seen many fights stopped for far less. But it was a fight for the undisputed heavyweight title, and Tyson Fury does have a long history of recovering from crisis situations. So for me, it's really touch and go. I don't have a massive issue with what the referee did, to be honest. Did it help Tyson Fury? Yes, of course it did. But it also wasn't so unreasonable that I'd feel the need to make a big issue of it. I do wonder, though, if the roles were reversed and it was Usyk in that kind of trouble, whether the ref would have afforded him the same grace. I seriously doubt it somehow, given how badly the industry were pulling for a Tyson Fury win. But anyway, Fury survived, and if you notice during that barrage at the end of the 9th round, and for most of the fight actually, Tyson Fury found it very difficult to clinch Oleksandr Usyk. First of all, it's very hard to pin him down, and when you do manage to do it, he's very slick in the clinch. Did you guys notice that? He keeps his arms very tight against his body, so you can't put your arms underneath his and wrap him up that way. And he also angles his body in such a way that he has one shoulder in the middle of your chest. So he's like an eel on the inside. You really can't get a grip of him properly. Very, very slick stuff. And evidently, his strength belies his physical size. He was giving away nearly 40 pounds in weight to Tyson Fury, but he was able to hold his own with all the grappling up close. Anyway, the 10th round was much quieter. Both guys needed a rest after the 9th, but Usyk did still land a few nice shots to take the round. Fury got rid of the cobwebs by the 11th and was starting to throw a bit more again, but it was still an Usyk round. The 12th round, in all honesty, was actually a swing round. Could have gone either way. Both guys landed some good shots, but personally, I gave it to Tyson Fury. At the final bell, the two guys embraced. It went to the scorecards. A split decision was actually an insult to Usyk. It should have been unanimous. I had it 8 rounds to 4 for Oleksandr Usyk. I could make it 7 rounds to 5 if I'm being generous to Tyson Fury, but no more than that. A fighter showboating cannot distract me from the fact that he's missing most of his punches and most of his opponent's shots are actually landing, which is exactly what happened in this fight. Usyk outlanded Tyson Fury in most of the rounds and by quite a big margin overall. He was also far more accurate, landing at a much higher percentage. So he did his thing and the right man won. Overall, it was a great fight and a great advertisement for the sport of boxing, which I'll talk more in depth about in a separate video. I'll also talk about Tyson Fury's corner in another video, which was really a shambles. But until then, I'd encourage all of you to check out my exclusive content on Patreon. As I said earlier, I'll be uploading a video on there tonight or tomorrow where I go through the first 3 rounds of this fight in slow motion, zoomed in, and you'll see very clearly, without any doubt at all, that Usyk Usyk swept the first 3 rounds of the fight. And he also took the 7th round. Never mind what numpties like Eddie Hearn is saying. I'll show you the concrete, irrefutable proof. So yeah, check me out on Patreon. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store. Go to my page and select the boxing tier, which is called the Boxing Brotherhood. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a damn sight cheaper. We've also got a group chat over there and what have you. So yeah, come join us.